Welcome to the first session for UC Tech 2023. Welcome to beautiful Berkeley. I am Lucy Greco. I am the accessibility lead for the Electronic Accessibility Committee. And I am very pleased to introduce you today to Travis, and I'm going to mangle your last name, Vermeulen.
That was good.
Okay,
That's it.
Good. Who is going to be presenting our first Siteimprove training. This is for people who are new to Siteimprove or want a little extra boost to get their website scores at the highest level you possibly can. And we will have a session immediately following this for people who are, want that much more and need to go out there and dig in hard. So with no further ado, I'd like to hand it over to Travis, and EAC thanks you for being accessible.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Lucy. Thanks, UC. Thanks, Berkeley. How many thanks can I give? But excited to be here, kicking off UC Tech. So this will be introduction, refresher, diving into the weeds in some parts. So if you're familiar with Siteimprove, hopefully it's some reinforcement for you, being able to go, hey, I know this information. I can take this, I'm down the right path. If you don't know it, hopefully you're learning something new and trying to figure out, oh, I can leverage this data to improve my website, improve user experience. But as Lucy mentioned, I'm Travis Vermeulen, been with Siteimprove for over 8 years. I'm an expert in the Siteimprove platform, coming from Minneapolis, Minnesota area, where Lucy was talking about butchering my name. In Minnesota, there's Lake Vermeulen. Every time it gets announced, it's butchered, but appreciate it, Lucy. So I'm going to do my best to monitor the chat and leverage questions as they come in. I can talk for an hour and a half. I don't think anyone wants me to talk for an hour and a half without a breath. So please chat in questions, chat in something that you're hoping to learn about through. I may not get to it right away, but we'll definitely have time to go through. And if something doesn't get answered, doesn't come up, or you think about it later, please don't hesitate to reach out to Lucy and the team or reach out to Siteimprove to be able to help answer some of your questions. So I like to think great for presentations, great to be in the PowerPoints and slides that we have. But we are going to be spending a lot of time in the platform. So I get new technology or I'm trying to learn a technology. Great. You have all of these fancy screenshots and slides that are out there. What do I actually do? How do I tie it to my role and all of my other responsibilities? And that's why I think spending time in the platform, doing some live demoing can be really beneficial. Just have to move us over. And then we'll get the agenda set up. So a lot of information planned as we're looking at some of the history. So for those of you that don't know, we've been working with UC since 2018. Actually, even before that, 2016, I want to say. We've worked with some individual schools separately before we went enterprise coverage for your accessibility, being able to help maintain and monitor what's happening across all of your websites. Big part of this, again, we have a SaaS-based solution. We have the ability to cover all of your websites under the EDUs that you have, the ability to have all of your users in here. So again, if you're brand new, if you're someone that is a content author, you can get access to this. If you're in leadership and you're going, I should probably learn more about our tech stack and everything that we have out here, you can get access to it. We can help provide you with the data, the information that you need. But yeah, we've been partnering with you. We are covering over 5,000 websites, millions of pages, being able to help report and create that visibility into your web governance, big focus on web accessibility too. We'll be diving into different parts of the platform, looking at some of the guidelines, some of what is Siteimprove created, trying to really highlight, what did Siteimprove do versus what are other people doing with this? We're also going to be looking at a few other things. We'll be looking at, I have a broken link on my website. This is something that I've really learned over the 8 years. Easy's relative. So, hey, go fix this broken link. Okay, do I have access to this link? Do I know where it's broken? Well, the link works for me, but it's broken for somebody else. So diving into the weeds too on why we may be reporting something and how you can go about addressing those issues. Looking at a couple other data points within Siteimprove? How do you help leverage and prioritize all of the information that we have in the system? There's a lot out there. And again, I'm aware we're probably not your only tool that you're using. So how do you tie in some of those different data points? That's where we partnered with Lucy and team quite a bit on being able to pull information out of Siteimprove, making it, I don't want to call it more relevant, but relevant in the terms of, what am I using this report for? Who's the audience for this? So knowing too, you can customize a lot of the view up to a certain point. So having some of that familiarity and again, getting some of that understanding of, okay, this is what Siteimprove is. What can I do to help improve my website, help make it more accessible? So that's a big thing. We want to make sure that your websites can be used by everybody. Large audiences out there from prospective students, current students, employees, everyone, you spend a lot of time putting information out there. What are you doing to make sure that everyone can access that information? Yep. So just echoing again, if you're not, for those in the room, if you have questions, I'd say just raise your hand. I'll call you out. And then if I can't do it right on the spot, we'll come back. But yeah, raise your hand and I'll do my best to remember. And then if you're online, put questions into the chat. So this is something that one of my colleagues, I'm very, very simple slide put together, but 15%, over 1 billion people in the world claim that, or not claim, but could have a disability. So that's a large amount of people out there. Something that a lot of people don't, I would say that I hear don't recognize is temporary disabilities. So are you raising your hand in that survey? Are you saying, yep, I have a disability if you broke your arm, and thinking, well, it's a broken arm. Well, you're temporarily disabled. Maybe you can't have mouse control, computer or keyboard control out there. So just knowing that the audience is large. You want to make sure that your websites, again, are accessible, user-friendly for everybody. You're putting a lot of content out there. And then I think a lot of times in the health field too, so for anyone on today's call or in the audience that works maybe more on the medical side, that's a large part of your audience being able to come. How do I navigate? How do I access this information? Again, what is needed versus what is a want today? And all of the time and effort and resources that you're standing up a website, driving traffic there, saying, hey, we had a call center, but we have all of this information on our website. Is it actually working how we want it to? So being able to help, again, go back and see, what am I doing right today versus what am I doing wrong? Analyze, adjust, trying to build different processes in place. I'm one, I was talking with my colleague earlier today. We're like, I don't love processes on processes, but as people move into new positions, as people are trying to get a handle of what do I do out here, processes can definitely be helpful in creating that education. So I just wanted to but I wanted to put this one out here because it's a big number that I think highlights it pretty well. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this. This is not really part of the presentation, but I figured as I was going through some of this, there's still a lot of legislation out there. So being able to say Office of Civil Rights, Department of Justice complaints. So that's something that kind of the stick of saying, hey, we need to do accessibility and then what's happening for the future. Then also, again, giving people the carrot of, hey, here's where you need to be involved. Here's what you should be aware of. Again, trying to tie it into your role. So are you a content author? Are you a developer? Are you in UX? Are you in leadership? Are you in procurement? Accessibility touches all of that stuff. And a lot of time, a lot of effort goes in to trying to be aware of it. Just knowing too that there is guidelines out there. There's guidelines that Siteimprove follows that we're a part of, and legislation, and I guess the litigation isn't going away, which I think a lot of people are aware of, and everyone is pretty excited to continue talking about. So with this, I am going to transition and we're going to jump into the Siteimprove platform for a demo. So give me a couple seconds while I open up a new tab. All right, I'm back. Siteimprove platform. Hopefully this is familiar for a lot of people. If not, I'm going to ask just for the room, if you want in the chat, feel free to say I've never seen this before, but anybody in the room new to Siteimprove? Is this awesome? Awesome, great. So that is good to know. This is something that you can get access to. And this is something too that hopefully will become pretty familiar. So this is the Siteimprove platform. Well, what in the world am I looking at? What are these scores out here? Digital Certainty Index, is that industry standard out there? Is that something that Siteimprove created? It's something that Siteimprove created. So it's a combination of the quality assurance, the accessibility, the SEO. What I'm hoping you leave to, I do this way too much. Say like, I want you to leave with 5 things, and then I rattle off like 10 different things at different points of the workshop. So hopefully there'll be nuggets that you leave with throughout the presentation, but there's a lot in Siteimprove. Again, I started out talking a lot on accessibility, user experience. I'm going to go back to just that broken link and that quality assurance out there. If a link's broken, it's not accessible for anyone. It's not good for your search engine. It's not good for user experience, especially if you're the one responsible for that web page. Hopefully you can find it before you get a call from leadership, from someone, another stakeholder going, try to get to this page and it's broken. What are you doing? That's not a fun conversation to have. So again, trying to present visibility into issues that may be on your website, and you can find them or find them for your team before anyone else can. What we're looking at with the Digital Certainty Index, that's the combination of QA, quality assurance, broken links, misspellings, website accessibility. Currently, we have WCAG 2.1. I'm looking at my colleague saying, I know 2.2 isn't out yet, but we have it built, ready to implement when need be, and then having the ability to then work with the UC team on, what are the standards that we're going for. So Siteimprove isn't trying to recreate the wheel with the web accessibility and say, hey, we're doing something completely different than the industry, but we're doing it better. No, we're working with the industry. We don't want to have those arguments that I'm hoping at some point, I keep looking at my colleague, I'm going to call her up, but Christina Adams, because we've had so many conversations where it's, well, Siteimprove is telling me this, and then this other plugin is telling me something else. And then, well, I came from another institution that used a different tool. Who's right out there? So hopefully we'll all coalesce and be able to report on the same issue or criteria, just as everyone else does. And then we can help differentiate ourselves with our reporting, other tools that are involved in their education part of it. But again, we're looking at the WCAG 2.1 within Siteimprove, and we have the ability to look at more. So SEO, search engine optimization. So how is your website prepared for Google? A lot of times that still perks up a lot of ears when saying, oh, accessibility, SEO, user experience, what do I need to do in here? So we have site crawl, and what I should call out too, I'm going to try and show you. I know there's a couple outliers that have web analytics. For this session, I am going to try and show you and not add on anything that you don't have access to. So if you're sitting in your chair, I'm going to be very cognizant to say, this is something that would be an add-on for it. So everything that you've seen or I've talked about, I haven't really shown you much in the platform, you have access to. So being able to take away and run with it and go, okay, I can get this, or I can help and get my team working in this information. But all right, I'm going to pause. I've been talking almost nonstop. I took a 30-second break for the transition, but what questions do we have so far? Yeah, of course. So the question was, I've been using a lot of abbreviations. What in the world do they mean? And this is something that I did not mean to do, because I get in and talk with like the finance or your friends, and they start abbreviating everything. Like, I don't. So quick side note, my brother-in-law is a machinist. So he's talking about these huge machines. I have no idea what he's talking about, using all these acronyms, and I did it. So apologies. So WCAG, that is the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. So they're the guidelines created by the W3C in partnership with different groups, different volunteers, to be able to help outline, how do we address web accessibility? To now that I'm on the acronym game, I'll throw out a couple more that you may have heard. Section 508, That's something that the federal government talks about. So Section 508, another guidelines, but it's incorporated within the WCAG guidelines. A lot of times ADA gets thrown around in there. So, hey, we have Americans with Disability Act. I'm trying to think, calling out right on the fly, other acronyms. Lucy, I'm gonna call you out. What else am I missing on acronyms? W3C, the World Wide Web Consortium. Yeah, how about that? I'm explaining acronyms and I go, yeah, W3C. Yeah, so the World Wide Web Consortium. So trying to write the rules for, or guidelines for the internet and how things should be outlined out there. So yeah, please keep them coming. I'm going to take another pause because again, I have a lot of content to go through, but I want to make sure this is beneficial for everyone that's in the audience, both online and in here. Any questions, any comments so far? Yeah.
Earlier you said that Siteimprove.
Oh, yep.
This is for the online audience.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks. Earlier you said something about Siteimprove being a SaaS-based solution, syntactically awesome style sheets. What did you mean by that?
Software as a service, another acronym. Thank you for calling me out. Gosh, I swear I've presented before, but yes, software as a service, meaning we're hosting it. You're able to access it. We're not on premise on a server on UC. So you're able to get to it. We're able to help deliver updates to the system a lot more efficiently and being able to help go with that. But yeah, Lucy.
I just want to make sure everybody knows you can get to Siteimprove today by going to Siteimprove, one word, watch me misspell it, Siteimp, ROVE .ucop.edu. You're going to use your UC credentials to log in, and you will immediately have access to the tool. You will not have access to your actual sites that you need to crawl or anything like that, but you'll have access to all the information, learning tools and so forth that are in there. So again, it's siteimprove.ucop.edu, and it's free for anyone at UC and any UC related websites. Those can also be uc.orgs, by the way.
Yep. I want to go on. Lucy and team, they have done a ton of work setting up the resources for you internally. So there's a lot that we have existing in Siteimprove. So you leave today and going, he said a lot of words. I don't know where to go from here. There's numbers out there. So we have in-platform support, that question mark with that one flashing at you, live chat, help center, videos, education courses. But then again, at UCOP, which I think is in the chat or will be, that Lucy mentioned, there's a lot of internal resources that are created and built for you. And then I know each university has teams in place too. So leverage the information that you have both through Siteimprove and internally. Again, we only have so much time to be able to address this. At least that's what I tell myself. Being like, I have thousands of things to do. What do I do? What can I do efficiently? How do I get what I need as quickly as possible? This is where I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, but I should be. I'm the Siteimprove employee. I think we do a really good job of trying to hit you where your needs are. So are you a text person going, I just want to read a quick article, be able to figure out what am I doing here and then move on? Do I want a full webinar out? That's the way I learn, 40 minutes, I take notes. So we really try and hit users where they, where and how they want to learn up there. All right. Looking at this dashboard, I swear I won't make you stare at it the whole entire time, but wanted to come through, talk about the scoring, and then we can dive into some of the issues, especially I know there's some new people in the audience that I think will be beneficial. So you don't log in and go, what in the world? This isn't my experience. Or for those of you that are familiar with Siteimprove, to help troubleshoot, going, I've ran into this before. I didn't know what this meant. But as we're, so let's keep going. So I was talking about just the scores, broken links, what they mean, getting in. Kind of a high level to be able to talk through, what does this score mean? Think of, without giving out our trademarked and proprietary information that we have out here, but think of, we have 1,000 broken links on the website, or out of 100,000. So we're able to get a ratio. How many misspellings do we have on the website versus how many words do we have on the website? Being able to tie some of those things in, being able to get you a score that you can help benchmark off of, that you can leverage then, whether again, you're the individual working on these issues and saying, hey, a month ago I was at 80, now I'm at 99. We really try not to dangle that carrot on you though and say like, hey, you will never get this. But it is hard. It can be really difficult to get that high score because websites are constantly changing. I'm making some assumptions in the room that if you're here, you're part of the tech conference, you have something to do with the web, you understand that, hey, websites changing a lot. There are a lot of things that are out of your control. I mean that you're linking out to a government resource that they didn't tell you that they changed their website. You're linking out to somebody else. They didn't tell you that something changed. So being able to have the issues and what we're identifying and checked versus everything that we're finding. So that's how we come up with our scores. We have the 3 individual. Sorry, I'm trying to get rid of that later, and I might have to have tech come back up. But with this, we combined all of those into that. I think we're good now. Yeah. But then we roll it all up into that digital certainty index. So that's that score on the left. Again, good for benchmarking, good to be able to say, hey, I was at XYZ at this date, and now I'm here. I work with a lot of universities at UC that, hey, we have our benchmarking. We want to get above industry average, and then we want to go more. Then being able to answer to, what do you have in place for monitoring? That's not fun to go, I had no idea there was issues out there. You can't really play ignorance on this anymore. So having the ability to monitor, score, track over time. Again, let's jump right in because I've made you listen to me long enough without actually showing you anything but this. So I'm going to try and do this without closing out what we have. What I want to let you know, we're a reporting system. We've been working with you for a long time. So we have user access set up pretty well. Where I'm going with this, and it's not a challenge for anyone. You're not going to break anything. Again, not a challenge. Please don't leave and go try and break something, but decisions can be undone. Again, we're not actually going to go in, inject something on your website, turn something around and redisplay something. So that's where I go, curiosity wins on Siteimprove. Super easy on my end to say, because I get new tech at Siteimprove and they go, hey, use this, be curious, play around with it. I go, just tell me what to do with it and then I'll do it. So talking out of both sides of my mouth on that one, but I'm going to just jump right in. I'm going to click in some broken links and misspellings. As we're looking at this, all right, we got our 404s. So whole bunch of broken links out here. Where do they exist? Are they in the table? How do I go and fix them? And as we're looking at this, I wanted to get to this page because I was kind of bored with just the dials and the scores on there. How are we collecting all of this information? How are we pulling this data in? Siteimprove, we're a crawler, a spider, scanner, using those all interchangeably. That's the core part of the service. We come in, I'm going to try and be consistent and use crawl. So crawl, we're starting on an indexing page. So a lot of times it's your home page, your subdomain, and then we're going through all of your HTML, all of your links, clicking on the links, and then leading into the next page. If it exists under that domain, we want to index it, save it in Siteimprove, and then run all of our checks on it. So depending on the size of your website, it can take anywhere from a couple hours if it's I call it smaller website, knowing small is relative, especially if we start talking about libraries and different types of websites out there. Into if I have a 30,000 page website, it's going to take a couple days. Part of that, as a crawler, we are hitting your website. We don't want to be seen as attacking you. So this is where it's like full disclosure, will highlight the extent of my security knowledge out there, but DDoS, so denial of service attack, being able to help shut down. We don't want to do that. I don't want that phone call from anyone going, hey, Siteimprove, we identified your user agent shut down our website. I don't want to do that. User agent, just the identification of how we're coming in on there, but that's what we're doing. We are crawling your website, storing your pages, and then running our checks on top of those web pages and trying to highlight where are all of these issues out there? Where do they exist? What should you prioritize and focus? Being with Siteimprove for 8 years, really big part of my role can help you prioritize, but you know your website's better than me. I can make a lot of assumptions going, yeah, I've worked with this law school before. They normally care about X, Y, Z. Good to know and good to share. But again, your priorities, that's something that I can help out with, but it's up to you. It's up to your teams to know where do I want them to focus, and where I can come in and say, based on our data, you have X amount of clicks. Let's say you have 20 broken links, but you only have clicks on 2 of those links. Yeah, go fix all of them, but fix the ones that are getting clicked on right away. So trying to help you prioritize, help figure out where should I be spending my time out here. Yep. And what the ability to get that, and again, this is something that you have, Siteimprove has a script, a JavaScript that would be placed on your website, similar to any other analytics script. We can tie it in, and then what we can do is we can let you know, again, how many people are clicking on your links. It's not our full-blown enterprise analytics. That would be an add-on service that I know some of you have, but this would be where, hey, I just need that, exactly what we've labeled it, priority. I need help identifying what links are being clicked on. What are my page views? It is a rolling 30 days of data. So I can get you excited and say, yeah, if you want more, here's the paywall. But with that, being able to look at documents, being able to say, you know, documents is huge with accessibility. Do I really need to remediate something from 2018 that we no longer offer in our university, but it's still out there? We'll use it as a cleanup effort. If no one's clicking on it, it's not relevant anymore, remove it from the website. And the inverse of that, I have a document that was just created. It was on the website yesterday. People are downloading it, and we have accessibility issues. Well, then you need to prioritize that. That'd be something that's really important. Yeah.
So we have a Q&A question, which is DOS and DDoS. Are there consequences we might experience if our websites have inaccessible content, such as fines or the site getting shut down by government agencies, which is what Siteimprove is helping us identify and avoid before that happens?
So the fines and the consequences are external. UC is not going to penalize you immediately. If we do have an external complaint, we will work with you to resolve it as quickly as possible. The thing you have to know is, do you really want to eliminate 15% of the population from your website? And are you willing to risk some person being very angry that they couldn't get the vital information you're providing and suing us? So we're not going to shut you down, but if you find those problems and fix them, you're going to have a much better website that people can actually use and be more effective.
Yeah. Thanks, Lucy. Yeah. So not only is it that 15%, but it's that audience, those eyes of how many people are looking at it right now. They care about in the moment. That could lead to something else, but we have that moment. I cared about it now. Am I going to remember when I walk down my stairs to grab a water, say, oh, I don't know what I was going to look at. I'm not going to come back to it. So trying to catch people when they're curious, when they're aware of it, is important. But yeah, we're not looking at DDoS in Siteimprove. We're trying to prevent us from doing it to you is the big thing. So talking about the visibility, the controls, the crawling and the spidering, by default, we're trying to update all of your information every 5 days. So every 5 days on your website, we're trying to come through, recrawl, rescan everything, rerun all of our checks. Some of you have the ability to do that on demand. So you know what? Great that it crawled on Sunday. We didn't do anything over the weekend, but we had a huge push at noon on Monday. I don't want to wait 4 more days to get results. Depending on your user status, you might be able to recrawl it on demand. Everyone should have the ability to recrawl a single page on it demand, meaning I just want to refresh, recheck all users. Yep. So if you're in the platform and you have more than just a read-only access and user, you have the ability to recrawl it on demand. What we're looking at too right now, so well, great that there's broken links. I want to know my pages. I know my pages of my website better. So pages with broken links, again, being able to help filter, help you prioritize, hopefully. So I try to do more than just hope on my end, but being able to again see, all right, if I don't work this way or we're not set up, how do I look at this information? So there's really, I'd say, no right or wrong way to work in Siteimprove. I know there are people that would disagree with me on that one, but if you found something that works for you, I'm not going to try and get you to change the wheel. If you have questions on it, I can help point you on what other people have done, but I'm not going to turn around and be like, yeah, if it's working for you, you're still doing it wrong, because we have it out there. We're trying to make, again, those options to improve, using the Siteimprove term. But again, we've heard a lot of feedback, and it's been awesome. You've been great partners of ours over the years on what can we do better. So that's something that don't hesitate, continue to go through Lucy and the different teams, to be able to help filter up, what is working for you and what's not. We want to be able to help improve what we're doing. All right, so where I'm going to jump to, and I'm going to pull us in the weeds a little bit, is I'm going to go back to broken links. I'm going to look at links to review. So this is something that, hey, it's a knock on your score. We're identifying it as broken, but our confidence level that this is broken for everyone isn't as high. So we want to flag it. We want to report on it. Then we want to show you, what is happening out here. I'm seeing a lot of unable to connects. A lot of times I see 403s. You could be sitting on your end going, hey, what does that mean? I guess I can understand unable to connect to it. What is a 403? What is a 404? That's the response code that we are getting when we're trying to see, is this link working? Does this link load? And I wanted to call out 403s. And if you leave something today on, what is HTTP status code and what are links, 403s for Siteimprove. And why this is so important, I would say, especially for universities. I shouldn't just silo universities. Anybody that has authenticated or gated content. A lot of times we're finding links out there to those authenticated and gated content. Siteimprove can find it. You may be logged in. You may be in your network, your VPN. You go into our platform. We're telling you it's broken. You click on it. It works for you. You get really frustrated that you just spent 10 minutes looking at Siteimprove, trying to find a broken link that wasn't actually broken for you. So why do we report on that? Well, if it's broken for us, there's a good chance that it's broken for another individual, another site visitor coming through that is not logged into your system. So 403s, you're intentionally telling Siteimprove, don't check this. And we're not giving you the authority to get a different status code from this link. We don't want you to know if it's working or not. A lot of times I see that into authenticated environments or gated content. And then my question there would be, well, if it's authenticated or gated, why is it visible to someone that is not logged in? So again, easy question on my end to ask. I know that's where I've said it a couple of times already. Easy is relative. Some decisions, and this is where I get careful because I can easily talk out of both sides of my mouth of, well, that's how it was set up and we can't change it. Well, is that really the case? But then it's about priority. Is a broken link worth throwing a fire alarm off? Maybe, maybe not. But again, if we tie it back into accessibility, saying, well, decision was made 2 years ago when we redesigned our website. Well, yeah, but it's still not accessible. How is someone going to be impacted by this? And then again, you tie into the litigation, the user experience. So that's where we're trying to know too, what type of data am I looking at? I'm going to jump in and just highlight too from the broken links. So again, perceived false positives, called out 403s. That's the confidence level in our links to review where, hey, it's not working for us. It may for you, but it's something that should be investigated. We have very similar ideas with misspellings. Being able to go misspellings and needs review. Again, just a confidence level saying, we know that this is a problem. You can still override this depending on your user status. Being able to help control your dictionary. Again, not everyone has access to that. Oh, everyone does? Yeah, okay. So everyone has access, the ability to say, oh yeah, wish list. And again, this is a demo account. So yeah, that's fine. Going to approve it or mark as a misspelling. But again, we understand too, a lot of proper nouns, names, acronyms, places get placed in misspellings. Something that I'm going to jump into that's not well known, the add words. If you have terminology in your organization where hey, we have these 20 different acronyms, WCAG, Section 508, throwing those all out there going, they're not, maybe not technically a word, but you don't care that they're flagged. They're exactly how they should be. You can add them to the Siteimprove system. Being able to do it just on your website. Again, we don't want you to make changes or alter someone's view that is at UC Irvine when you're at Berkeley. So again, being able to help make those decisions just for your own account and having that ability. We have automatic language detection set up. And then something that I wanted to call out, meaning so automatic language detection, if you have X percentage of language on your website, we'll be able to check it. So if you have English tied in with a little bit of Spanish on your website, we'll be able to check those languages. What we don't check. So I don't want to stand up here and say, hey, we don't do this, we don't do that. But as I'm talking about spellings, it gets brought up a lot. We are not looking at the character-based languages. I want to be really transparent on this. We can still report on accessibility issues with character-based languages, but the misspelling, the readability of it, we're not checking for that within the misspellings area of the platform. We're able to check for links on character-based languages. I mean, it's a link, we're able to click on it, but I just wanted to call that out. That's something that's been more, say, relevant in the past couple of months. I get asked a lot, hey, are you checking Chinese for this? Are you checking Japanese for that? We're doing some of it, but not the misspellings of it. So calling it.
Okay, so we have a Q&A, and you may have answered this already, but the question is, does Siteimprove have an accessibility scan for native mobile apps such as iOS and Android?
Yeah, that's a great question. Not short answer to that is no. Something the way that native iOS, Android apps are built, we're not having the ability to go in and point our crawler to it. So that's how we're ingesting a lot of the data that we have in Siteimprove, and not having the ability to point a crawler at iOS or Android. We're not able to ingest that. With that said, everyone loves the fun workarounds. I work with organizations that with their native applications, they build the base, they build it browser based. So there's potential. So starting out again with the question is, can we report on iOS or Android? Short answer to that is no. Long answer is there's potential, but it's how do we make it available? Yeah, and then what Lucy mentioned, there's some tools out there that exist in the market. But yeah, I mean, I love questions like that because that is something that I want to see us do. I know we've investigated, we continue to investigate, but this is a great one to be like, hey, I just presented, one of the questions came up, that's where the market is. So great question. All right, I'm going to pause again. People in the room, any questions, anything that you're like, man, we're already 47 minutes in, he hasn't even touched on this yet. What are you hoping to see? Yep. It is not. So you need the script on there. It's a 30 days rolling data, and you get just the clicks on broken links, page views, and clicks on documents. But that's a part of your contract. Yeah. Oh yeah. Same thing within the accessibility module. So rolls over, clicks on pages, clicks on documents in there. Yeah.
On the electronic accessibility page, we have a copy of the link or a copy of the script for you to be able to download and put on your website. So literally it's part of the configuration of your website. And if you are at Berkeley and an Open Berkeley user, talk to the Open Berkeley team and they'll tell you how to enable that on your site.
All right. That's a hand in the back.
Yeah, apologies if I was on the Zoom call and then I got here in person, so I might have missed it in the middle. But did you actually show how to add one of our sites to Siteimprove? I feel like
Next session, I think, or actually, oh, sorry, I should have let Lucy take that. No, I didn't though.
Oh, okay. That'd be great.
So you as a user are not able to add your site, but as soon as you log in, I believe we have a list of all the admins and you just reach out to the admin on your campus and they can help you do that. It's done campus by campus slightly differently. So you just look, as soon as you log in, it should show you that even as a read-only user, you should be able to find out who your admin is and find out how to actually add your site. And you can add as many sites as you need to.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great question, because I wasn't going to bring it up until just now. When adding a site, it's very important to have the final destination of the URL, meaning we don't want the redirect. And this is something where we don't know what we don't know. And I understand on your end, you may have something bookmarked or saved, you just copy and paste and throw a URL our way. Make sure it's that final destination of that URL. And we're sticklers with just the indexing domain. If there's a trailing /, make sure we know it's something easy for our support team to help figure out, but it helps go a lot faster if we're getting that final destination URL.
Websites are, like moving targets. I mean, they're always changing. And so with the score, it looks like there's a cumulative of 100. So you could think like, A, B, C, D, kind of 90, 80, 70. And what would be, from your perspective, like a good target to shoot for?
It's currently changing and fluctuating, but my personal, and this is again, is as a personal, as an accessibility evangelist, I would like to see you have your site score ideally above 85, optimally in the high 90s. It's not hard, but it's time consuming. And I've seen sites be able to go from a 50 to that 90s by just spending 30 minutes a week, and they can usually get there within 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, great question. Difficult to address, but as Lucy said, and as we're talking about the accessibility score, it's this is where it gets over my head. So I'll call it out. I can regurgitate it, but I don't know if I'll be able to answer any follow-ups, but it's a logarithmic scale. So as you start out, you could be in the 60s, you have X amount of issues that are out there. You're saying, I just fixed 1,000 things and I went from 65 to 66. That was a lot of time. But then as you get into the 70s, 80s, the points associated with it, you can make much faster changes due to the logarithmic scale that's out there. And then also knowing too, and as we're talking, I should say, as we're talking, I'm just bringing it up, the prioritization of accessibility issues. You could have 100,000 occurrences out there, but that occurrence, that's an issue in your template, your theme of your website. You fix it in one spot, you just swiped away 100,000 occurrences out there. So that can make a huge change too. A lot of times those aren't as easy to do. But again, looking at the templates, themes, leveraging the resources of your teams that have tried to build accessible templates and themes. And when they hand them over to you, making sure to ensure it that they stay compliant. Yeah.
Okay, we've got, oh.
Oh, I don't know if anyone saw, I almost just threw my laptop. It wasn't the question. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, you don't know if it's the question or not. That's fine. So we have 2 more questions, and the first one, Lucy and I can probably answer, which is curious if suing and/or complaint letters about inaccessible website content is an issue we experience at UCs. If this is a large area of risk and opportunity for us, and are there any reports, data about how this affects either our business or for website content owners like us in general? There's one more part of it. Okay, the next part. Can we tell if broken links, finding misspellings, etc., are the top complaint areas of risk?
Before you go, Lucy, let me answer that last part. No, broken links and misspellings are not a part of risk. It's annoying. It's a problem. They should be fixed, but it doesn't tie into the litigation.
Yeah, low hanging fruit. Okay, so yes, each of our UCs have probably received complaints. Let's be completely frank. We can say that with confidence without violating any attorney-client privilege. But each and every one of our complaints our campuses have received at least one, if not multiple complaints. Publicly, you can be aware that UC Berkeley is in the middle of a DOJ consent decree, which has required us to do some massive heavy lifting right now for web accessibility. You can see details on what that heavy lifting is at dap.berkeley.edu. But I can guarantee you there isn't a campus in the UC system that has not received an accessibility complaint. If it be a letter, if it might be a student filing a concern, we've all gotten them. It could also be what we call the accessibility troll environment, where there are people who just visit a website, find a problem, and file a complaint. It's annoying, it's frustrating, but at least it gets our awareness up.
I'm gonna ask anyone in the room if they can add on to it. I feel like I have heard they've limited the number of complaints that one person can file. Curious if anyone has heard that, or if I'm making, yes, okay, so I'm getting a confirmation from Lucy. Okay, so just through OCR. And then the yes, the acronym Office of Civil Rights. And then another comment that I've been hearing, well, heard before, once you are identified as having an accessibility problem, they keep coming back until you enter into a type of agreement, because they know, hey, you're not accessible, there's a problem here. Can you really make a website accessible overnight? No, because you change things. You add in a new video, you put in a new image. Someone made maybe an unfortunate mistake of not providing the right description. Well, you're accessible yesterday, but now you're not today. So they know that they can keep coming back.
And just to piggyback off of Trevor, I mean, I think the point is to get to that level where you're kind of maintaining your website, and then you know that when you post a video, you need captioning. When you put an image or a photo on your website, that has to have alt text. So in that way, once you get familiarized with some of these kind of best practices, it'll not be as tedious as when you first started with 500 images that all need alt text, right? So the idea is that at some point you're able to maintain and be able to realize best practices.
Yeah, exactly. Try to get into that position where you can say, if anything ever comes to you, yes, we understand that there's issues out there. We're working towards remediating them. We have something in place to help highlight the visibility, and we have education in place to be able to help address that. Not saying that that's going to stop everything, but being able to answer that can go a long way. All right, so I was quick. Oh, sorry about that. Yep. All right, in the back, we got one. So it's something that we were going to bring up next session. There's the ability to run, I'll just briefly mention it. There are browser extensions out there to be able to help check out, especially like just what page spots, whether it's Siteimprove or Wave is another really popular one that's out there. If it's truly I know application can be loaded, a loaded term. If it's not crawlable application, again, there's workarounds, but it's not an easy thing to investigate as you're going. I just want to know where I'm at if I'm looking to buy this or leverage it. So a lot of words to say. It's not easy to do, but there are some solutions in place.
Thank you.
Yep.
I think we have one other question, which is, and this one might be kind of a subjective one as well. Are there ways to know which improvements are the best bang for your buck? Go from 66 to 90% instead of 67%?
That is a loaded question. I'm going to answer and then I'm going to ask Lucy for some help, but why this is a loaded question. We try to help you out with the points associated with the issue. So that can help prioritize. And something I've been throwing around the WCAG acronym. I didn't even explain what that is. There's A, AA, and AAA, a part of the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. A level impacts the greatest percentage of the population, down to AA, and then AAA. AAA is very hard to adhere to. It's not mandated. And the call out between each levels that I like to go is just color contrast. The ratio increases. So at A level, and I don't know the ratio off the top of my head, it is a certain color contrast ratio. Into AA, it gets higher. AAA, you need even greater color contrast ratio. And then the subjective part of it is you don't know what the disability is. So you can say, well, I need closed captions on all of my videos. Well, if you're blind, the closed captions aren't doing a ton.
until you're deafblind.
Until you're deaf, but yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, Lucy, I want you to weigh in.
So I think it's really important to know, first of all, use the priority script because it's going to help you figure out who's actually, if there's an issue that's on a page that nobody ever gets to, first of all, consider removing that page. But second of all, go for the stuff that most people are seeing, get it done first. Stick to your AA to your single A first. If you can get through the single A stuff, the rest of it's going to be a little bit more tedious, but by the time you get to the AA, you'll know what's going on. We don't consider AAA a priority at UC. If your AAA is scoring below 50 though, you might want to actually look at some of those things because it doesn't plaque the usability. The color contrast ratios are 4.1, I believe. It's 4.5 to 1, yeah. For large text, 3.1 for large, yeah. 3 to 1 for large text. So I mean, anything, and don't use fonts that are below 18 point or 14 point. For crying out loud, people, if you have to squint, don't do it. Just don't do it. That's going to be one of your really easy fix. Alt text on images. Not only is that going to give you a big bang for your accessibility, it's something you can get a work study student to fix for you, but it's going to increase, your website searchability. It's going to show up better in Google. And think about your keyboard. If your keyboard isn't your most friendly tool, unplug your mouse, try and get through your website with your keyboard. Those are the big impacts for me. I mean, if you hit those things, the rest of it just comes for free.
Yep. That'd be the biggest challenge. If you're trying to get someone on board with, all right, I know I need to do accessibility, but why, or how does this impact me? Take the mouse away and just tab through the website. Are you able to efficiently move throughout the top navigation? Do you know where you are as you're tabbing through the website? So that's I'd say a really easy challenge and a good, okay, this is why I'm doing it. This is how I can help. And then something that I wanted to talk about priority, where Lucy mentioned links. If you're using assistive technology, you're coming through navigating through a site with poor link formatting, then how are we understanding what we're clicking on? So if it's click here, read more, and that's pasted all over the website, what am I reading more about? What am I clicking more about? For more of a, call it a user that can't clearly color, we'll go color again. So is it a link just identified by color? So the importance of that, making sure that it's usable, and then again, trying to be consistent throughout. Something that I wanted to call out as an issue that gets popped up everywhere, and as it was asked about points, Siteimprove associates decent amount of points with page zoom is restricted. A lot of people go in and they start testing, if they're using a mouse, they're just scrolling and zooming in to 200%, 400%. That can be helpful, doing some manual checks, but it really is the browser check. So are you changing the size of the font in your Chrome settings, Firefox settings, whatever browser that you're using? How is that impacting the display that's out there? So knowing that it's not just, hey, I'm zooming in my browser size, am I zooming in my text size, and is it being clipped out there? What we're looking at, and I want to spend some time, and we got 30 more minutes, so I definitely want more questions, but I want to spend some time talking about automated versus manual. We've been talking about automated this whole time up until, what are some of the keyboard things that you can test manually? With Siteimprove, with other checks that are out there, they're the automated checks. Sometimes I hear the ratios inflated of, oh, automated can do 50%. I don't think that's the case. If that is, I'd love someone to raise their hand and say, yeah, this company is doing 50%. That'd be great. We want to partner with them. But that's not happening. The automated side, it was mentioned earlier, we can identify that a video is out there, but we can't tell you that the video has closed captions and they're consistent with what's being said. So that's where the technology is not there. Hoping soon, they'll get built, and we'll continue to say, hey, we have the WCAG, I don't even want to go down the 3.0 part of it, but we've identified new technology that can automate all of these checks. Awesome. But that's not coming down in the next year, the next 2 years, the next 3 years. So there's still things that have to be done and checked manually. And I'd say, or I've heard around 30% can be checked with automation. So that can say, gosh, only 30%. Well, that's a lot. And that's a lot of barriers that are out there, even being 30% of it. And then having the ability to manually check. So I don't know, Lucy, if you wanted to say anything about manual testing at that's done at UC in the different regions.
So each campus does that differently. And, you know, again, you're going to have to check with your electronic accessibility representative to find out how it's been done at your campus. The automation, I'd say it only gets 15 to 20%. The one thing you all do have at your campuses is you have a disabled student services program. You know, those disabled students can tell you a lot, and they're all eligible for work study, people. Don't ask them to do it for free. Go out there and get students who have disabilities to tell you how accessible your content is. But for me, I'd say 15 to 20% can be done by automated. But the good news is that 15, 20%, that's a heavy lift. It's actually really, you know, important stuff to fix. The other stuff ends up being usability and user fixes that are needed as well. They're important. But it's more like, you know, can the mega menu on your site be opened and closed appropriately by a screen reader user? The only way you're going to know that is by trying it and doing it. That's a manual test, not an automated test.
All right, jumping around a bit and keep the questions coming, but I want to make sure that I highlight it. A lot of the data that I've clicked on displayed out here, and this 100, that's off. So don't look at this. This is just a demo site. Don't be like, oh, but anything that I've showed today, if you go, okay, I care about this. It's not that I don't care about that other thing, but it's not a priority. You can, depending on your user status, and again, working with Lucy and team, we can help you create a view that makes sense for you. So again, this is all about user role, but I wanted to let you know that that functionality exists out there. So if you want, I want my broken links, I want my image missing alt text, and I'm going to focus in on my authors just to do that. Some controls can be in place to do that, but again, it's not everyone. So I just wanted to make you aware that there's some potential out there if there's a use case, and we already have a lot of dashboards that are set up for that. So we don't have to create some new ones for it. We already have some in place. Do I want you in our platform? Yes. Can you benefit from just working off a report? Definitely. So if you're looking at this and going, I'm not going to send my users to another system, but I want them to use this information, we can automate an email that's sent out. Worked heavily with Lucy and team on creating other reports that can be sent out for identification. So something to be aware of. All right. I have a couple more things that I want to make sure you're aware of, but again, want to open it up, see if there's any questions.
I think I can answer this one. Oh, never mind. I was answering the other one. So the next question is, as someone who hasn't used the site before, you mentioned that I should be able to log in and see what our site admin is. Can you walk us through where to find that information? What's that?
I won't be able to today. So that because I don't want to share something that I shouldn't share.
Go ahead and just log in yourself and you'll see it instantly. There's a dashboard there that's just for learners is what we call it.
So there's potential to log in and see information for your website if you're not seeing it.
Not website.
Or sorry, not website.
Get their admins.
Oh, just to get your admins. Okay.
So the
Yep.
one that's free should show that.
Okay.
There's one more question while we were answering that question, or one more question while we were answering the last one. And Lucy, you'll love this question. So there are some emerging technologies such as OpenAI Whisper that leverage the new AI technologies to approach near human level speech recognition. Is there a possibility technologies like that, assuming privacy concerns are satisfied, could be integrated to help semi-automate testing of issues such as video closed captioning?
Keep my email address. lgreco@berkeley.edu. I have a project in that should be starting shortly, potentially. I can't say more, but there is some work things we are doing and working on. I am going to tell you right now, though, any of the currently available AI solutions that talk about, our AI can help fix your accessibility. Just don't go there. Don't go there. They're terrible. They will tell people things like maybe an image of a tree, and it's actually a person. So the AI solutions that are currently available are not great. I am doing some research specifically with Whisper, and I am not going to say Whisper is going to create the captions you need. I'm going to say that Whisper is going to hold your hand to create the captions you need in a much easier and effective way in the future. But reach out to me in November and I might have more to share.
Keep us in the loop. We're on pins and needles.
So I've put Lucy's email address in the chat. If anybody wants to ask her questions. Also would like to say that there is a lot of technology out there that says that it's accessible, and sometimes it actually makes accessibility more difficult. So for example, there's tools out there that you install onto a website called an overlay, an accessibility overlay, and actually makes websites less accessible. And so I think that, do you want to talk to that?
Yeah, those are the AI tools I was referring to. There are things called what we call in the industry the one line of code accessibility overlays. There is literally hundreds of them right now, and they're just not good. So it's something that puts a little floating toolbar on your website that they say is an accessibility. The common symbol for them is the Manchurian man, the little guy with his arms raised out. Avoid those, run like mad, because what they end up doing is actually blocking other assistive technologies. They're really, really bad. If anybody wants my card who's in the room, by the way, people can come to the front and get some of my cards. And I also have, and I'm sorry for the online people, a sticker.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. So one more question, or not one more, we can do more. But as we're talking briefly on the overlays, if you're losing that battle, and a lot of times it can be leadership or another stakeholder saying, I just need a fix today. Try taking the approach if you're on the board of saying, I don't want that overlay either, but I'm trying to think of other arguments, the performance of it, the user experience of it. I think a lot of us have been on websites. Think of you're on your phone and you see that icon keep popping up. We also need, which I know is not going away, the cookie banner that's on there. So how many other things are you going to place on your website? It's just another script to load. I don't know what all of them are doing in the back end, especially if they have decision-making capabilities. But if you're taking the approach of, hey, it's going to hurt the performance, it's going to hurt, again, user experience, then that could be a good approach. Sorry, I know we have a question over here, but we have a question right here before we got to it.
I just had a quick comment. I know folks have been looking for the Siteimprove admin list. It was my first time logging into siteimprove.ucop.edu. I went to accessibility at UC as a dashboard choice, and there was a link, locate your Siteimprove administrator.
Oh, awesome. Thanks for sharing. If you don't mind, if you have it up, do you want to put that link just right in the chat? Oh, okay. That's okay. Oh, sorry. We got a question in the back.
I have a broad question about your analytics service. Is this an okay time or the appropriate venue, or is there a better place or time to ask about it?
I'm open to it.
Okay.
I'm trying to kind of, yeah,
Sure.
let's go for it.
It's not very specific. So as most people know, as I'm sure you know, Universal Analytics stopped on July 1st.
Yep.
And we and a lot of other people are looking at Google Analytics 4. And my personal opinion about it is it's a vastly inferior service. And so I and a lot of my colleagues, a lot of other people are starting to look at other possible paid services to replace what Universal Analytics used to provide. And I'm wondering, we don't use Siteimprove Analytics and haven't really looked at it. And I'm wondering if you could comment at all at how Siteimprove Analytics is situated to provide services vis-a-vis Universal Analytics and what Universal Analytics used to provide and now no longer does.
Yeah, so Lucy's gonna take this and then I'll see if I can add on or if I don't need to.
So UC is in the process of a system-wide RFP for analytics. The RFP is going to take some time to get kicked off. I mean, it is an RFP, so we all know how long those take. Currently, we do have a 20% discount with Siteimprove for our analytics, and you can subscribe to those separately. They contact you, right? Or is there
Yeah.
another person that you
No, contact me. I'll either be able to
Yeah.
answer your questions or get you to the right person.
And I mean, we have several sites across the system that are using it, mostly the med centers. So, you know, I can definitely connect you with somebody to look at it. I do know that a lot of the people who were using Siteimprove before we had our system-wide contract had the analytics. And their comment was, you can't tear my analytics out of my cold, dead hands. So, I mean, it's something that they're pretty intensely tied to. Jill, do you mind if they talk to you later? I know you have several sites with analytics.
Yeah, that's fine. We also have a coworker that's. Thanks, Lucy. Yeah, I'm Jill Walters from UCSF, and I mostly handle accessibility, but we do have analytics at our campus, and we have a new coworker who's specifically focused on analytics, so I can get you in touch. You bet.
And then directly, it is set up more similar to Universal Analytics than GA4, where there's a lot more event tracking that needs to take place with GA4 and the tech setup. So the big differentiator to put in my sales hat is user friendliness. You're already using other parts of the platform. I'll steal the one that I was at another meeting with their sales customer. He goes, what if I asked you if you could use less tools? Like, they're like, yeah, that'd be awesome. But no, it's the big differentiator with our analytics would be the behavior portion of it. So the ability to see how someone is navigating through your website and tying it back to, there's a question earlier that wasn't directly related to it, but are all of my improvements that I'm doing having an impact on my website? Can make it a little bit easier because it's in the same platform of tracking, you know, site visits, actions completed, or what you're hoping to get out of based on how many broken links did I fix? How many accessibility issues did I fix? And that's kind of, I don't say it's been a black box, but it's been more like, well, I did this, so it could have had an effect, but did it really have an effect? But yeah, let me know. You can get you in touch with the Jills or the other people that are heavily using it.
So the last thing I want to say is that on the overlays issue is it does violate a lot of other UC policies, including privacy and security, because every single one of those overlays is tracking a lot more data about your users than you ever will track, including the overlays track a person from site to site worse than Facebook, believe it or not. To the point where, and they say it's because they want to have the same settings across sites for people. It's not. It just don't go there, please.
Yeah, we have another question. Well, 1 second, he's coming.
I just had a question about the password protected or non-public facing sites. I was just looking through the policy because this is my first time looking at Siteimprove, and it said no sites with PII or other confidential information should be scanned. What's the recommendation from UC as a developer? Like, would it be to use the Wave tool and do it manually on a page per page and template per template? Yeah.
So we recommend the Siteimprove toolbar if it's got PII data on it. But we also do have a process for your dev sites that are behind password, and it's on a per campus basis how the procedure is, but there is a form that you can use to request that on the Electronic Accessibility Committee's website. There are campuses, though, that have said we are not opting into that. So just be aware that your campus may be one of those ones that says, I don't care if you declare left, right, and center that your site doesn't have anything above P1. I'm not doing it. So We will take sites on a per site basis at Berkeley, for example. But you have to fill in the form that we have on the electronic accessibility site. And there is a process. We can enter a password, you can enter a password in Siteimprove that it can go and crawl your dev site, for example, that might be behind a password. As long as you promise us, there's no PII in there.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We don't want PII, but
And if there is PII, what's
So-
the follow-up?
yep, Chrome extension, and it doesn't pass data to site, and we're not storing it and saying, hey, we're not storing it, but what is this? So it's all hosted in your browser.
Okay, and it just reports back to like me directly.
Exact, yep,
Okay, cool.
which, not to get into my own feature request, I love an export of the Chrome extension. You get all of the reports. I don't know if anyone's familiar, but similar to the other toolbars that are out there, but I think it'd be really cool. Yeah, good question. All right, I have one more thing that's just more like, hey, this is out here that I wanted to show, and then open it up, see if there's any questions, but Siteimprove policy. So what I have up here, what in the world is policy? What do we have? Think of it as site search. So some of these are just example ones. This is something that you can get really prescriptive, but I also have found this tool to be, you don't know what you don't know. So as a site search, okay, what am I searching for? What problem am I trying to solve? It could be as simple as saying, we have a new president or we have a new provost, and we want to make sure that we're referencing the right name. We're no longer offering a specific minor or major at our campus. So we want to make sure that we're not referencing this as a current part of the curriculum. It could get then more prescriptive of saying, there's a specific accessibility issue that's flagged in the accessibility module, but I want to take it a step further, and I just want to look in the body of the web page. I don't control my templates or themes. I want to know if it just exists in that body of the website. CSS selectors, I can talk about them. I can't write them, but our support team can come in and help out. Regular expression formulas, again, trying to get you more prescriptive on, I just want to call out what I'm worried about. I don't care if it exists in the header or the footer. That's the university's problem, which really, I talk out of both sides of my mouth. It's your problem too. But again, being able to help create your own site search. Could be something, as we were mentioning analytics. Hey, do I have the right tag manager on my website? Is the tag manager populated across the entirety of my website? Am I using a new, so you have a chat bot on there. Do I have the chat bot script located across the website? So you can look at the HTML, you can look in the content of it. One of the most powerful tools that's a part of this, but it's one of those that I also see, I don't know what I don't know. So I get here, I don't know what problem I'm trying to solve, so I don't actually leverage it. But this is information that's not, say, not always accessible. When I say accessible, I don't mean the terms of WCAG, but accessible within your content management system. So I don't know if I even have the ability to search and report on it. So just calling this out, again, some of these are just, well, all of these are examples on the demo website. And then I'll go into the policy library. You leave today and go, okay, some of those I somewhat care about, but what else is being done? We have a bunch of best practices. So trademarks, being able to look at. And then if you're more on that marketing side and you're a stickler for style guide and branding, saying our date should be month, day, year. Our phone numbers are dashes and not periods. You have the ability to put that type of stuff in there too. So that's where, again, in my role, I'm not writing content. I'm not putting it out on the website. I don't get hit up by my marketing team. Why are you using this slide deck or that? But if that's something that part of your role, I know that a lot of time and effort goes into that, and being able to ensure and have that visibility, you're able to make some of those, turn it into an automated check. All right. So we covered a lot today. We jumped all around. I'm hoping it was beneficial for everyone. Maybe you learned something new. Maybe it was reinforcement. We do have time. So now I'm fully open to questions, dive in anywhere. Doesn't have to be on what we talked about today. I saw your hand, right? I can't, I didn't log into your account because I didn't want to accidentally click on. So 1 second, I was asked to go to UC dashboard. I didn't want to share anybody's information that didn't want to be shared, so I I ran away from it. Okay. All right, hold on.
Do policies give you the ability to find things like non-descriptive link text?
So the accessibility, so the
Which is why I wanted him to actually look at the UC dashboard, because the UC dashboard, we actually included that policy for you. We have a non-descriptive link text policy that we've created that is on everybody's UC dashboard. And what that does is, I think we have, what, 32 terms, Jill? Yeah, 32 different terms that people tend to use for links that are bad. We have another policy that we have that's called bad image text, which includes things like photo of, image of, headshot of, all those things we have flagged in those two policies for you already. The great news for you about policies is you have a thought about something you want to track, contact support. And, you know, I'm hoping that support will tell me when people create ones that are really great. But, you know, I've been able to reach out to Siteimprove and say, hey, we want to look for, well, okay, we're going to use the images one, the bad image text one. We want to look for instances of this. And they were able to create it in about a day and a half for us. The problem is it took about 3 weeks to crawl because there's so many bad ones that you see. I think when it finally stopped crawling 2 years ago, we had over 500,000 instances of click here and all the rest of that kind of thing. So we've added some of those nice, helpful ones to you. You can always reach out to us and tell us if there's something that you think other people would benefit from. But yeah, you know, your imagination is the limit at this point.
With imagination, and I know I the Siteimprove person shouldn't be doing feature requests. One that I've heard is a policy for like curse words, derogatory words that are out there. So we have some of that, but this was taking me back like 6 years ago. I was working with the school district and they let their high school students work in their CMS. So I'm going into policy and it's words that shouldn't be used. Click into it. 100 words of things that like I learned something new, but it was a it was a fun professional conversation talking about some of those terms. I'm like, well, if you're nervous about this, why are you going to let them post? They're like, trust but verify. I'm like, all right.
I actually have a few questions that I saved until the end.
Yeah.
I'll preface this by saying I'm actually leading a mobile first, accessibility first redesign of UC Davis's OASIS and advising appointment system. So that's where this is coming from. So first, I wanted to ask, well, what does Siteimprove do that competitors don't necessarily do?
I'd say a lot. But with that, being able to help report, dice, splice, track it over time. I know that can say like, well, everyone can say they have data out there, but how do we tie it in with our education platform? How we have the contract set up is a real differentiator for UC versus some of our competitors. And then how we tie it in to the other parts of user experience. So as we're looking at quality assurance, as we're looking at search engine optimization and the policy tools, how do we combine all of this information that our competitors don't do, that they don't have the ability to do today, or they're not looking into because they're more siloed and saying, we're accessibility. Well, Siteimprove's accessibility plus. And then I'd say the big part is our education platform, being able to help say, great that you know how to, or one person knows how to do this. Does everyone else know how to do it? And we don't want to just kick things over the fence and say, hey, here's all your issues. You need to fix them, but that's all on you. We want you to be able to, I mean, I go to our, I know we're talking automated, but I go to our manual testing. I'm on a lot of manual testing calls. And a big part of it is we're here to do it. It makes money for Siteimprove. It's awesome. We're here to support, but we really want to educate you. To be sustainable, we want your own teams to be able to do it yourself. So taking that approach.
Okay, thanks.
I didn't think I was going to get put on the spot with that today.
Well, I had another question about what are competitors doing that Siteimprove isn't necessarily doing?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about overlays. I mean, that's something that even full disclosure, Siteimprove investigated at one point and was like, this just doesn't make sense for our business and our model. I'm probably gonna get crap for calling that out, but and then with our competitors, I'm gonna kind of punt. I don't look into them all that often because I don't have to. A lot of the people I'm working with, we're able to provide the value, meet their needs and where they're at. So
Okay, thank you.
If you want to talk more about that afterwards, please come see me, but it's the general gist is as we move towards a fixed rule set within the World Wide Web Consortium, the scanning is going to be the same for all of them. They're all just doing it slightly differently. And, you know, we've recently actually done a test of a bunch of tools. And the one thing that Siteimprove is doing that none of the rest of them is doing is if you have an accessibility issue, it will actually show you the page representation below the issue as you're exploring it and highlight the portion of the page that the section that the thing is on. It's really damn hard with a lot of these tools to find where the issue is on a page sometimes. So for example, if it's the issue might be empty headings. Well, if it's an empty heading, it might not actually show up visually on your page. And you're like, where is it? Where is it? Well, Siteimprove has this really nice little highlighter that shows you where it is on the page. And if it's still not showing up, because maybe it's in your responsive design of the page and not your currently visible part of the page, you can switch to the code view instantly and you can see it right in the code. That is a huge differentiator for us.
Cool. Yeah, no, I've been using the extension a lot and it's fantastic. I'm going to cut my question list short. I've got one more that's a little less Siteimprove, a little more general. How do you all feel, especially you, Lucy, how do you feel about bringing sound back to the web or alternative forms of feedback like haptic feedback for mobile experiences?
So number one comment is non-consensual sound needs to die. And that means if your page loads with sound immediately, just make it go away. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you.
Sure.
But saying that sound that people can engage with and work with and, you know that it's going to happen and is not going to interfere with the screen reader is a really rich, wonderful experience. So for example, with data visualization, there's a lot of really great tools now that will sonify graphs and charts. I personally hate them because I'm not that kind of person. I'm more of a tactile learner, not an audio learner. Yeah, blind person who's not an audio learner. Yeah, but it is, it's key. I mean, some of the stuff you can do with audio on the web to sonify things and haptics. Know that you're probably going to eliminate a large majority of the population because nobody's got the same cool tech that we do at UC. But it is valuable to experiment with those, and it is valuable to have people with disabilities engaging with you and multiple people with disabilities. Like I may actually test something for you and think it's cool, but there might be a person who has a different skill set who also is blind, who might think this thing is far too overwhelming and far too stimulating. Like I said, I hate sonification, but a lot of people love it. It's really key. And for your mobile testing, please come see me. There are some tools I can point you to.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
I think we're close. Okay. Anybody online? Jesse. By the way, everybody, Jesse is the first person at UC that I am aware of with a International Association of Accessibility Professionals full certification.
Nice.
I'm doing a talk tomorrow at 2. Come hear me. Little plug, shameless plug. The one thing I want to add to that is I know the next frontier for WCAG, for the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, are for people with cognitive disabilities. And it's a difficult area because cognitive disabilities are very broad and it's really hard to write testable rules for them. But as someone with those, anything on a website that tries to engage my senses that I haven't actively agreed, yes, I want my senses engaged this way, makes it much, much harder to use. And I'm going to navigate away very, very quick. So I think a lot of the stuff that you just listed, like the haptic stuff, that opens up all kinds of amazing venues and amazing alternative ways to access stuff. The important thing is it has to be opt-in. It always has to be opt-in, because the cognitive realm, it's so broad and there's so many people, and the sensory stuff can be so hard that if a web page is throwing too much at me, I'm done. I'm just not going to use it. But if I can pick and choose, then it's awesome. So that to me is the key.
Yeah,
And
how
I'm
fun
looking
are,
forward to seeing like what can I get this figured out. I think that'd be pretty amazing.
yeah, how fun are news websites? Audio play video.
Restaurants too.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're close to the end. That doesn't mean that you have to go away. We have another session right after this. The Electronic Accessibility Committee, you're going to hear me refer to it as EAC. Thea will be putting that in the chat really quickly for us here. Is a resource for all of you. We are developing things constantly at the Electronic Accessibility Committee. You know, many of you came to our Global Accessibility Awareness Day event that we had. It's a huge success. We can only serve you if you let us know what you need. So please, 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 reach out to any of your representatives, engage, and continue to be accessible. I have to tell you guys, I was like panicking before this session, saying, if we go to the room and only 10 people are there, I'm going to just kill myself, because we worked hard to make this session happen. And I want everybody in the room here to give a big round of applause so the Zoom audience can hear how many people we have in the room. So take a look at your session schedules for UC Tech. We have 16 people. This was just one of 16 sessions. The biggest number of sessions at any UC Tech for accessibility. We did not do an accessibility track. We did a session that we did a tag for accessibility. Look at your sessions, look for that tag, become accessible, engage. And thank you, thank you, thank you on behalf of all people with disabilities. I want you to continue being accessible, and I am here for you, and EAC is here for you, and Siteimprove is here for you. Thank you,
Awesome.
everybody.
Thank you, everyone.